Okay, everybody, welcome to the Power Network Group.
So we watch this now?
Sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can advertise your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders. Right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Yeah, what the video said. Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Network Group. My name is Greg Belanger. I'm the one of the co-founders with my good partner Bruno Lindia. We own Megapix Media, which happens to own YYC Calgary Business. So YYC Calgary Business is Calgary's only online business platform designed to get small businesses exposure and get them noticed. Okay? We do it through video podcasting, multi-channel media distribution. Can you hear? Oh, okay, how's that better? So we do it through video podcasting, multi-channel media distribution, and then sponsorship, partnership opportunities, and live events like this Power Network Group event. So since we started, we've interviewed over 1,900 business leaders, and we've also produced over 25 different video podcast shows. So all with the objective of getting your story out there, getting it live, and getting the exposure that you want. So, again, this is more than a networking event. This is us building out a local, strong business community of entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, supporting each other and doing business with each other. So we really want to focus on being a strong local group. Small business, we get our hats handed to us every single day. So you know what? We can't rely on anybody else to come in and support us. Let's do it ourselves. So what are we doing here today? Basically, your job is to get out there and mingle. There's a lot of other business owners here like yourselves. Go out, tell your story, listen to what they're doing, understand what you do, and make the connections. The person you're talking to may not be a customer for you today, but I tell you what, the better they can understand what it is you have to offer, what problems you solve, the chances are they can work their network. It all gets exponential. So let's get some momentum. Let's go out and mingle. And you know what, guys, come out and enjoy. We've got Adam and Caitlin have put on a great event for you today. Okay, is that better? Should I do it again? Okay, bottom line is you're here to mingle, you're here to talk, move around, introduce yourself, share what you do, share the problems you solve, and you know what? Every business starts with a conversation. So let's see, you could be on the verge of greatness today. The person sitting beside you could be that person. So again, Adam and Caitlin have put on a great itinerary for us, a great show. So you guys, again, have fun, enjoy, and once again, welcome Adam and Caitlin.
We're figuring out what that buzzing noise is. Oh, here we go.
We help our clients to animate their business culture and achieve extraordinary results.
Whether it's through finding effective team, business improvement, and alignment, of course, your values, video storytelling, and unique to our client communication. Everything we do with our clients here creates connection and builds culture. If you're a people-focused leader who understands the incredible ROI of high-performance engagement culture and a solution is here to help amplify and accelerate results.
So just pick up here and contact us now. Let's chat and find out how we can support you in your business to make a better world together.
You got a mic? Are you sure? Does it work?
Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
I couldn't help but notice how many people and what a great turnout we had here. So it occurs to me that there's a lot of people out there avoiding a lot of difficult
Right? Because I mean, they should be here. We, in fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but like annually, there is over $1 trillion with a T, trillion dollars lost in corporate business due to poor communication every year. So this is a huge opportunity for businesses to really hone in on increasing their productivity, their effectiveness, and their profitability by focusing on how to have hard conversations, move them forward, and build their business stronger. So have any of you ever worked at a company where people were avoiding hard conversations? Yes? What did it look like? Like, shout it out. What was it? What did you see? Doors closed. Yeah, totally. People walking on eggshells, right? I love that. Yeah, like, oh, what kind of person am I going to get today? We just talked about that with somebody. We were just having the conversation. Right? That uncertainty. What about like throw it over the fence emails, right? Where it's like, not my problem, and you just chuck it over and you don't worry about it, right? What else? What else did you see? Resentment. Resentment. Good.
Go in all caps.
All caps. Love that. Passive aggressive responses. Right? There's some really interesting terms that everybody takes in differently. What was the one where we were talking about this, like, oh, I hate when people say that in an email, and I was like, oh, but I say it all the time. Oh, feel free to review this. And Adam said to me, he's like, I hate this. Like, what do you think it sounds like?
My favorite is, please see my previous email. Well, my first
Right? So we're avoiding the hard conversations, and as leaders, it slows us down. And there's companies that have really good cultures out there, but they're still avoiding the hard conversations, and they're literally a ticking time bomb. Right? It's a house of cards, and it will crumble if they don't learn how to have those hard conversations and how to navigate those, difficult situations to move the business forward, because you can't just avoid it, right? And speaking of the art of having hard conversations, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our co-host this evening, and an amazing human. He is the Human Connection Specialist, speaker, author, coach, podcast host, and founder of Create the Love. And if you do not know Mark Rose, you better find him on Instagram.
Yeah, please pull out your phone and hit follow.
Literally should. No. It's been a pleasure ever since I met you.
And relational wellness, how to be awesome at them, because how we love matters so much. About 95 to 99% of what we do is subconscious. Isn't that crazy? We can't always choose the feelings that we're having, but we can choose the story we tell ourselves about. How we lead, how we participate on teams, the way that we handle conflict, it is all correlated to what we were taught and our family experience growing up. Who here has told the truth in a deepened relationship? There has always been a desire to share with people the struggle that I have had in my life and continue to have, because humans aren't perfect. Being human is hard, it's scary, it's challenging. It feels so weird watching a trailer of yourself. Hard conversations are definitely not something that I led life with. I don't know, anyone else avoid them a lot in their life? Anyone else end up in a bunch of fuckery because they avoided that? Yeah, that's the story that I had. When I was younger, I loved learning how to communicate and learning how to relate and all that kind of stuff, but it was really from a place, I was in sales. So I was in pharma sales for 14 years. And it was, how do I change human behavior? How do I get someone to pick one product and not another? How do I operate in a team? How do I do those things? I played sports, so that was interesting to me too. But then I found in my late 20s, I went through a breakup. And I thought to myself, why am I so good at talking about everything about my feelings? This isn't a skill set issue, there's something else going on. And when I got to this place, I remember asking myself, how did I get to a place where I feel so disconnected from who I truly am? And the answer that instantly came to me was, I avoided every hard conversation. And I looked at, you know when you learn something and then you look back on your life with a new awareness and you're like, damn, like you could see everything through that lens. That was me, and I could see every moment in my life, every relationship I had, every workplace issue I had, where I just didn't want to confront anything. And I was so afraid of disrupting people's feelings. And when I had to make a choice to end a relationship in order to feel connected to myself, that was one of the first moments I ever really had this terrifyingly hard conversation that completely changed my life. And I remember thinking to myself, when that relationship ended, there was so much thought like, Mark's afraid of commitment, that's why he ended the relationship. And it was strange to be stuck in this contrast where I felt more connected to myself than I ever had, yet judged by society or people around me. And I made a commitment from that day forward that I would have every hard conversation I didn't want to have. And then, living with that was challenging, of course, because now as a people pleaser, conflict avoidant person, I'm walking straight into conflict. Not straight into it, but like kind of sidestepping into it. I've been sending emails like, feel free to read the previous one. And I'm in a relationship dating this woman. This is where I get most of my material for changing life. But I'm dating this woman and I'm thinking I need to end this relationship, it's not working. And I'm thinking of my rule, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to correlate my integrity to being in alignment with this rule. Life will be always better if I do this. I'm like, I don't really want to have that conversation this week. Then the next week, I'm like, okay, I finally drum up the courage. And she says to me, you knew this 2 weeks ago, and you avoided this conversation. And I was like, oh shit. And then she said, if you had had this conversation when you knew you needed to have it, you would have saved me 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, so not only is my fear of having hard conversations impacting people, but actually delaying them is impacting people. I didn't know how much this would translate to work until I started to see where people pleasing would show up at work. So I'm so excited that we get to have the conversation that we're having today, because for all of us to courageously walk into those, it's hard to do, right? Especially when conversations we're having are going to impact, in a workplace, people's feelings. So we're going to explore all of that. We have a great lineup of different speakers today on that. It's important to recognize that it's a skill set that everybody can learn. You know, great relationships don't just happen to people. They're not lucky. We actually are active participants in them, and the way that we show up in our workplace is so important. In our teams, if we're leaders, like who here owns a business? Oh yeah, okay, well we've got a bag then. So the system of your business operates off of you. And so it is imperative. Who here leads teams? Yeah. Okay, so either way, we got some responsibility today. So I'm excited to welcome the first guest. Which seat should I? Hello, sir. No, I got it here. I'm saying which seat should Dana sit in? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give the formal introduction to Dana Mullen. So she's a highly experienced, highly regarded psychologist, international relationship coach, and entrepreneur with over 25 years in the mental health field. As a relationship expert, she specializes in empowering individuals and couples to create securely attached relationships, effectively navigate difficult conversations, and build stronger, more meaningful connections. For the past 17 years, Dana has successfully led her own private practice, integrating her expertise in PACT and IFS, which is internal family systems, to help clients achieve lasting positive transformation in their relationships and personal lives. on a more personal, higher rapport note, Dana's an incredible human. I refer all the couples I know to Dana. She's one of the most skilled therapists I've ever known. And so, where else do we need someone who knows the mastery of difficult conversations than that world, right? And so we're going to talk a bit about that. Come on up. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for coming. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous also, but super excited.
Just think of me as a dysregulated husband. That you need to, and I'm going to ask you questions.
Yeah.
This goes the other way, doesn't it? I'm like switching it around. Okay, so the first one, does mastering communication in your closest personal relationships, like with a partner, translate into exceptional leadership and vice versa?
Yeah, so a lot of people separate love and leadership, but the reality is for you to become a really good leader, you have to be able to relate well. And so working on that relationship that you have with your partner is the most important. And most people don't know this, but the most difficult relationship that we have is with our partner, our intimate partner. And that's because they trigger our attachment history. So when you're in conflict with your partner, you're no longer your 45-year-old self. You get triggered to a younger part of yourself that feels maybe not seen or heard or understood. And your partner is actually a proxy for everything that came before. So they're triggering every person in your life that didn't see into you, that didn't maybe abandon you or hurt you. So if you can master those conversations with your partner, you can lead anybody. And really, I'll say one more thing, Mark, if you can regulate yourself in those conversations and be calm and connected, then you can lead a team through anything.
Yeah, who here is like, I'm going to go home and have to have some conversations with my spouse. What happens when the boardroom, I like this. What happens when the boardroom power suit doesn't fit at home? And why should every great leader learn to lead without it?
Yeah, I see this often in my practice where people who are in business are so good in the boardroom, but really struggle in their marriage. And what I look at is that there's different kinds of power in those relationships. So at work, you have like a title, you're a CEO, you have to make big decisions, and people are coming to you for like, this is, what are we doing? What are we doing? And so in that business world, you're like a one-person system, is the way I look at it. So you're responsible for everybody else, and you have to make some really tough decisions. But in a relationship, it's mutual. And so it's a two-person system. What's good for you is good for me, is good for our relationship. And it's about being a co-partner. So if we can master, again, the ability to be able to understand that I have to attune to my partner. At work, people come to me for direction, but with my partnership, it's, do you see me? Do you hear me? Can you see into me? And so I think that there's some skill sets that like overlap, but in your personal relationship, you have to be able to be attuned and slow down and really be a partner.
Yeah, I think a lot about how if we are in business partnership, we'll spend more time with our business partner sometimes than our spouse. And then I think even it's like our business partners will trigger us in ways that are similar too. And so bringing those skill sets between the two is, it's, you know, I don't think, does anyone here often think of the translation between those two things? That if you master your romantic relationship, mastery of skill set of communication, that you could bring that into your workplace? Anyone? A little bit? We do now.
Yeah.
So what's really happening beneath the surface for someone who avoids difficult conversations or becomes easily dysregulated?
Yeah, when somebody is avoidant or dysregulated, really what's happening at a fundamental level is neuropsychobiology. So it's the nervous system and the attachment system. So when we're triggered by, like, let's give an example actually. Let's say Alan is a CEO and he's out for dinner with his wife. And his wife says to him, I just don't feel like you're here with me right now. Alan will notice quickly his heart beating fast and maybe his fists are getting tight. And he's noticing like a heat in his body. And he says back to her, I don't know what you want from me. I'm working all the time and I'm trying so hard. So what's happening beneath the surface for him is his he's triggered by his nervous system, so his neuroception is triggered, which is the part of our brain that scans for threat. And then our sympathetic nervous system is triggered, and that's the part that is our fight or flight freeze response. And then the next piece that's triggered is our prefrontal cortex, which goes offline, and so we're no longer thinking clearly. And then his attachment-based system is also triggered, which is the part that's like, it wasn't safe to feel as a kid. It wasn't safe to feel vulnerable. And so in that moment, he's now triggered back to that part, and he's not able to think clearly.
Yeah, to even understand the multiple layers of the system that are happening in that. Because I've definitely got a workplace email where all of a sudden, I actually was wearing a blood glucose monitor. I wear them every once in a while to see how things impact me. And I got an email and my glucose spiked, like as if I ate dry mango. And I was fasting at the time. And I remember thinking, holy crap, like my body just dumped a bunch of glucose in. And then I was having a conversation with my wife shortly thereafter, and I had a similar glucose response to some feedback. Which is funny, my wife and I wrote a book together about relationships and human codependency, and we have one of our commitments in our relationship is to use the frictions of our relationship to heal and become more powerful, more healed, etc. And even though I know that in my brain that that's an agreement, I'm still like, oh, here's some feedback, great for my growth. How do we build, how do we actually build mastery and have hard conversations?
Yeah, I think of it, it's not the words that we're speaking, Mark, it's really about how we show up in that moment. And so there's 6 kind of skill sets that I talk about that I think are really important. And the first being understanding your nervous system and knowing how to regulate it. So knowing those cues that you have and how do you calm them down in those moments. Knowing your attachment history and wiring. So we know the first 12 years of life is when we're programmed basically in relationship with self and relationship with others. So if we can know that history, then we know a little bit more what's showing up in the room. The other piece is knowing your parts. So internal family systems, which is part of the work that I do, understanding what are these parts within me and how are they showing up. Another piece is understanding in your partnership, creating a secure relationship. So if you can do the work in that relationship, then you're going to be able to have those tough conversations. And the last piece is really, actually no, there's 2 more pieces. I almost forgot one. Communication, obviously. So like knowing how to actively communicate, expressing, going back and forth, but knowing that 93% of communication is nonverbal. So being able to read people, which is huge. And then the last one is just having a vision. Like, how do you want to show up in relationships, and are you in alignment with your values and your integrity?
It's amazing how all of that correlates to our alignment with our values at work, alignment with cultural values, all of that needing to be in integrity, or else the ship goes off. The shared nervous system of the company gets impacted. And we have definitely not thought about that. Like when I worked in pharma, there was no training where they're like, we have a collective nervous system. You know? Instead it was like, here's the Myers-Briggs, and you're red, blue, green, yellow, whatever it is. Okay, so we're gonna pull a card. You have to answer a random question. Are you ready?
I am.
When do you resist change the most?
Thinking back kind of just in life, I think resisting change, anything that's really vulnerable, like that's definitely taking a big step in a direction where there's a known.
Okay, and then where is the biggest resistance to change that you see in teams?
I would say
Or like human systems?
Yeah, well, I think that kind of the same way, Mark. The resistance, when people have to be vulnerable and they don't know where that's going to take them, I see that a lot in, I wouldn't say teams, I would say companies that I've worked with. I've worked with sometimes 2 CEOs or like in that kind of setting, and it's where they have to be vulnerable in some way.
Where we're being exposed.
Yeah.
Having to share how we truly feel about something, our fears.
Yeah, I worked with actually 2 pastors that guided church, and they came in for couples work, and it was the vulnerability of being open about where they really felt in the relationship with each other.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, that'll help shape that system so well.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. coming, for sharing. You guys up?
Yeah. You know, that really resonated with me because I literally was working out at 4 a.m. this morning. My legs day, as you can tell, so you don't want to share. And my husband texted me from the bed, and he's like, I feel like you don't really love me anymore. So, he doesn't watch, it's okay. And I immediately started texting like all the things that I was feeling, and then I like stopped. I did a couple more sit-ups. I deleted it, and then I wrote back, I love you, period. And then after my workout, I went in and I gave him a kiss, and I just said, I love you so much. So I didn't engage, I took a minute, I like checked in with my nervous system a little bit. And this is funny because I don't do this with my husband, but I do it at work all the time. I will write an email, and I always write it again, and I've probably told most of you this story, is like, I answer from my like, engineering logical mind, and I'm like, blah, 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 and then I'm like, okay, now let's be a human. And I rewrite my email to be culture focused, to bring my values forward, to make sure my communication is clear and that I'm really expressing myself. So I do this in my business normally, and now I'm learning to reply it at home. So that really resonated with me. Thank you so much, Dana. Thanks, Mark.
You know, my wife turned to me once, we were just having like a regular interaction, and I was distracted, or I kind of like said something snarky. And she turned to me and said, you know what? If I worked with you, you would have all the time in the world for me. Yeah, and I, like, that was a couple of years ago. It's happened a couple times since. But it just kind of sticks with me, right? Because when I'm at work, I have this leadership persona that I'm really trying to be conscious of, that I'm, you know, paying attention to people and really listening and giving them 100% of my attention and my thoughts and all this type of stuff. And then I get home and what they get is leftovers.
Right? So I'm seeing a lot of translation between learning how to communicate better at work and in my marriage. I just have to remember to apply it. But one of the things that we talk about, and if we put up the next slide, Bernice, is going to be the 4 pillars of an engaged culture. And if you've ever been to one of our talks before, this is kind of like our staple. When we talk about an engaged culture, we talk about creating places with psychological safety so people feel like they can share their ideas, ask for help, say, I don't know, or respectfully, I disagree. The second pillar being clear accountabilities. People want to feel like what they're doing has an impact, that their efforts are not only appreciated, recognized, but they're moving the needle. Like, everybody wants to feel like they're part of a team that's actually doing something exciting and it's making a difference. Effective communication is its own pillar because everybody wants to feel like they're in the loop, they want to be heard, understood, seen. And the last one is strategic improvement because people want to feel like their ideas are heard and they're getting put into place. You know, no one wants to like give their feedback. Have you ever do a feedback survey? Right? They're like, what can we improve here? And then a year later, what can we improve here? You're like, please refer back to my previous email. Because nothing happens. And so like, how do you communicate through all of these? And if we go to the next slide, the pillars actually kind of look like this. They all interact with each other and support each other. So you can't just build one, you need them all, and you need to start building it out in your business. Because we've heard some stories, right?
Well, and I think, you know, we were thinking about this, and we have all these conversations over and over and over with clients, with colleagues, with collaborators, and the idea is, like, who says we are so good at communication? Everybody. But, you know, at the center of all this are these hard, real conversations where we actually say what we're thinking, explain what we're feeling, and we thought, man, there's got to be a way that we can help this problem. What can we do?
Right? Do we want to tell our story first? Like the $10,000 bite that bit us? Yeah, okay. My team might get we're airing out our dirty laundry here. It's okay. If you can learn from what we went through, that's even better. So we had two of our leaders on the team had a disagreement about a soundbite. One of the leaders thought it should go ba ba ba, and the other one thought it should go ba ba ba. That was the disagreement. And so then it was a few emails back and forth. And then it was, well, this is my client, I have a say. Then there was probably a misplaced CC all option that happened, and it happened on a Friday night. And then it stewed over a weekend. And then we got pulled in, and we got pulled in individually, and then we got pulled in together, and then this little thing became such a huge disagreement. And just because somebody was emotionally triggered in the time, and they didn't take a step back and rewrite their email, right? Or think maybe this is Friday night, we can handle this on Monday when we're chatting in person, because I think we can solve this better in person. And that cost us $10,000 in just time spent. That's not lost opportunity cost of what we should have been doing with that time. That is $10,000 in meetings discussing it. And if you think about that one miscommunication, where we could have just prevented it, and here at my team, I give them such kudos, man. They did this. I said, they called me after and they're like, Caitlin, we should have handled this better. Well, we could have handled this. We shouldn't have brought you in. And I said, I'm going to ask you to do something really hard, guys. They're like, what? I said, I'm going to get you to tell the team what happened, and I want you to tell us how we need to fix our communication policy. And so we looked at accountabilities. Did we have clarity in our accountabilities? We fixed that in our system. And we actually updated right then and there our communication policy on how we'll communicate and handle hard conversations. And so strategic improvement came in, and really all because of the need for effective communication. So it hit every single pillar, and they got super vulnerable. They told the team, not us, they told the team what they learned. And the whole team was so thankful that they got vulnerable and shared, and they said, they've worked for companies that they talked about a good culture, and they said they've never seen one actually put into place when it got hard. And that's when culture stands up, is when it's hard, right?
Culture's easy when things are great. Anyone here been part of layoffs or things of that nature? Right? Yeah, it hurts. Especially this town, very cyclical. Most people have been through it one way or another. So, having hard conversations is hard enough when things are great. It's just stress and pressure. When things aren't so great, when you're personally impacted, when your personal worries come into it, I think it's even more interesting, right?
Absolutely. So you saw Mark pull out a card. I'll just tell you a little bit about that, because this is pretty exciting. So last year I saw Mark speak at an MYM summit, which was incredible. And I went to the store that they had at the summit, and I bought these Create the Love cards. I don't know if you've ever seen them or if you have them. So Mark sells these, and he forgot to bring them to sell them to you tonight. But you can buy them online, right? Contact Mark. Anyway, so I bought these, and I brought them home, and me and my best girlfriend and her husband, we sat down and we started playing them. And they're so super interesting. Now, they're not necessarily safe for work. Okay, they get all intimate, right? And so we started playing them, but we started having really deep, meaningful conversations. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So then I took out all the not for safe work ones, and I took them on a golf tournament with a client. And I said, every hole we're gonna pull a card, and we're gonna have really deep conversations. And through the 18 holes of golf, we had these really awesome conversations. Where's Jordan? Where's my guy Jordan? Is he still here? Jordan was on the golf trip, it was awesome. So we did that with them, and I was like, man, this would be awesome if we had these in the boardroom. So I stalked Mark Gross online, and I emailed him on his Instagram and on his website and his contact information, anywhere I could try to get a hold of him. I was like, hey, would you mind meeting with me? I would love to, maybe collaborate on something. And so out of that, we created the create the culture cards. And so they have all the 4 pillar categories, and so that's what he pulled out is the create the culture cards for the boardroom, all safe for work. And so you can pull cards and have conversations, because how many times do we sit in a boardroom and say, hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. All right, let's get down to it, and that's your connection moment. And so like, when we're trying to create engaged culture is, if we can get a little deeper, what would that mean? So we're gonna actually be pulling these, and we're gonna play some actual cards with you guys throughout the night, and we're gonna do that. I'm excited.
Actually, let's do it right now.
Okay. No pressure, please. You're doing great.
Okay, so we went in here and picked a couple questions for you guys. This isn't for us, this is for you guys. So, this is what we want you to do. Pick someone beside you, or in front of you, or behind you. Preferably someone you haven't met yet. Introduce yourself. And this is what you're going to talk about. Let's talk about an experience where your perception of an external brand and internal culture were aligned or misaligned.
This might have been like, hey, we were so like in the interview, it was so great. They told me the company was gonna be like this, but then I got there and it was not like this. So maybe that's your experience. So everybody turn around, get up, talk to somebody, get a partner, have this hard conversation, tell your story.
a lot of energy in here. It must have been a good question. Who wants to share? What did you guys come up with?
All the hands.
Where's Stan? Oh, Kieran's there.
I can share. One of our core values is our Thanks. I was going to say, one of the core values in our company is confident yet humble. And when you go through the hiring process and you bring somebody in, you try to get that out of them as you're going through it. But it's not as easy. The humble part isn't as easy. People can show confidence. So I work in an IT field, so we do manage IT services and professional services. What we found is later on through the process, you bring somebody on, the humble part kind of starts to show that it wasn't really there. So they dig their heels in, they're not willing to collaborate with other people within the departments. And we found that really hard. We've had to exit some brilliant IT people because they weren't willing to collaborate or listen to clients, which is even a bigger problem. So I think that core value, we now put a big focus on figuring out the humble piece as we go through that process.
Thanks, Kieran. Anyone else? Who else has this story?
I can give the extreme, this is probably the extreme example of this. I was a firefighter for 6 years, and so there's this perception that carries across the culture, right, that, oh, these people are saints, they're amazing, they can solve any problem, they're just wonderful, wonderful people, everyone's happy when they show up. But from the inside, pretty quickly I learned when I started, somebody was off on assault charges for knocking out his captain at the Christmas party, and you start to hear these crazy stories of, yeah, you know, they're not saints, and so from the inside, there's these challenges and these petty interpersonal squabbles, and yeah, and so that was I was disillusioned a little bit. It was still a great job. I still loved it, but yeah, that's my.
I know that story.
Okay, Steve, go.
So I'm not sure how many people look at star ratings on Google Maps before they go to a service-based business, or if you're looking to work with a company, if you look at their Glassdoor rating. Actually, one interesting investment tip, if you're ever looking to invest in the stock market, look at their Glassdoor reviews from employees that work there before you buy a single share of that company. Because if it's like 2 stars or below, it's like major red flags are not going anywhere, right? If it's like 4 stars or above, it's like you might be into some great opportunity. But anyway, just a little inside tip. I found that there's a little bit of correlation there, not official advice, but I found that very interesting. Like good companies usually have higher reviews and higher star ratings and the happier stuff, right? So there's that misalignment sometimes where sometimes companies are actually winning awards and they're in the media, but staff say, hey, this is a flaming dumpster fire on the inside. We all know companies like that.
You else have a story? One more?
Yeah, I want to share a story where I was being hired by an orchid grower, and I was meeting with her in the greenhouse as their biotech consultant. And as she was talking, I had this voice in my head that said, "Don't trust her," and I couldn't listen because it was a very attractive job. He was going to send me to Singapore, and he was going to have this fancy title. And I ended up taking the position and found out that we had very, very different values. And as a result of that, I went through incredible stress and finally decided to leave. But just as a reminder to all of you, is listen to your intuition and your gut. And we often don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we find out wrong.
Thank you.
I love that. Well, thank you for participating. That's just one of the cards. We'll do that again because it's so much fun, and we're going to get even more vulnerable because that one was an easy entry one. Let's be honest. What I want to show you is a little video we're going to bring out, right?
Highly effective executive training. They're 2-hour workshops, so we're not going to disrupt your whole work day. You're going to walk away with tangible things to build into your business to see results. It's not the wall's job to hold the values up. It is the leader's job to pull the values up, and they do that through constant behaviors. And brand loyalty is huge right now, because if you can't get brand loyalty in your company, you're losing the top talent. That's going to be a huge problem in the future for companies. And this is why we're doing it for executives. They're the start. You have to start there. As soon as they're having those conversations, they're pushing through the difficulty, their productivity goes, it's going to come through the rest of it.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we avoid these conversations or asking these questions that are so simple that open up so much dialogue and open up a lot of rapport, but really just build connection. And what a beautiful thing that you can come for 2 hours, explore how this all works, then on the second and third session go deeper and deeper and deeper. And not only will your workplace completely transform, but your home and your life will transform. Yeah, because they're not separate.
That's why we put this together. You're going to get the science of the physiology behind why this is difficult. You're going to get the process and strategies for navigating through it. You're going to get practice in the connection that's facilitated. And you're going to do that 3 times in a trilogy of deeper and deeper depth to unlock that potential in your company.
Well said.
When I approached Mark and we said, hey, we want to do the cards, Mark says to me, well, you know, Kate, I don't want to just go surface level. And so I was like, okay, what do you have in mind? And he's like, well, what if we created a workshop together? And so we're going to do that. I'll get you to go to the next one, Bernice. So we have created a workshop, the Elite Leadership Edge Workshop. This one is for all leaders in any level of the business that they want to learn effective communication, they want to hone in their leadership skills. We're going to take that 3 trilogy that we've customized for a company's executive leadership team. We're going to cram it into a full day. And so we're going to run one in June, and we have one set up in for September as tentative dates. But for everybody here, if you guys are interested, we'll do BOGOs. If you want to drag a friend along, be like, come have hard conversations with me. Or maybe you have a business partner come along, you can get a BOGO offer so you can both attend, have deep conversations, and not only do you get to get the cards when you get there, but you're going to go through a full day of intensive leadership training around heart communication. So wanted to say, for you guys, we put out amazing offers. If you are a leader of an executive leadership team and you're like, well, I want this specific for our company, we'll do it on the next slide, Bernice. We'll do it specifically for your company, customized to your company, but we'll typically break it up. If you want it all crammed in one day, we can cram it in one day, but what we want to do here is give space in between to process, practice, and come back and go deeper. And so we're going to run it in a 3 trilogy. Who doesn't love a trilogy, right? The Hobbit, right? Lord of the Rings. Okay, so the trilogy Effective Leadership, we'll do it custom for you. And any company that says our leadership team wants to go through this with you guys, we're going to give you a communication video, a value of $3,000, so that the learnings and the things that you guys want to pull forward and have your team learn about, you'll have that video to carry the knowledge forward, specific to your company and your branding, and you can make it your way. Okay, so making sure that it sticks is so important to us. So wanted to make sure that you guys had special offers, and every single one of our sponsors that are here, every single one of the speakers have put together special offers for you guys to help support you. So they'll have a QR code, you scan them. If you scan the QR code, you just sign up, we'll talk to you later. You don't have to pay right now, right? If you want to just learn more, scan it, learn more, you can scan it at the tables. But every single person who is a part of this has put together an offer specifically for you guys so that we can share in business, because as Greg said, this is about building a business community.
Okay, the show must go on. So where's Wanda? There she is. Okay, I'm going to invite Wanda up here to chat with me for a second. Wanda discovered her passion for accounting and business while studying at U of C. She began her career at BDO, focusing on taxes and audits, but quickly realized that entrepreneurs and leadership teams needed ongoing support making smart financial decisions. With over 20 years experience, Wanda specializes in strategic financial planning for growth. She helps businesses owners navigate risk, improve profitability, and build solid systems that support operational performance. Wanda understands that financial health reflects the strength of business's foundation, operations, marketing, sales, and culture. Having worked with diverse industries, Wanda's expertise adapts to the unique needs of each business. And she even has a video. Let's check it out.
equate to the effort you put into your business day over day. The Merch Group is Alberta's expert business consultancy, built on 3 levels of service designed to maximize your profit and increase your company's values. Level 1 is bookkeeping, where we lay the strong, accurate foundation. Level 2 is fractional CFO, where we build data-driven strategies and provide monthly reporting that drives your profits. Level 3 is increasing efficiencies to create your long-term plans. With over 20 years as a consultant, I have never wavered from my passion to support business owners in their quest for success. Wherever you are today, change your trajectory with a seamless, automated approach. Let us be your rocket fuel. Isn't it time you do something different? Let us support you. Call us or email us now.
Okay, thanks, Glenda. That was the first time she ever saw that, by the way, so.
It's good, isn't it? Thank you.
Okay, I have a list of questions for you here, Glenda.
Okay.
But first, it says here that you started off focusing on tax and audits. So my question for you is, when did you first realize that, tax and audits, like that was the thing? This was your passion?
Well, I went into business school at university. Thought I would do marketing like everybody's doing marketing. I took a cost accounting and it was like nirvana. This is the best thing ever. And trust me, university was a few years ago. It was around the sun a lot. So yeah, it was. But then I went into taxes and audits with BDO, and that was in my consultants. Working in the trenches with business owners, helping them move their companies forward and making the profits that they need to make in order to grow and hire people and have fulfilled lives. That's what juices me.
Okay, so consulting is your thing, dealing with clients.
Yeah.
So, what struggles do you face when having difficult conversations with your clients, especially you're talking about money?
Well, shockingly, money is a difficult conversation. I think a lot of what I run into is business owners, entrepreneurs, their identity, their self-worth, everything is buried into their business, and they don't want to fail because failing in business is much more catastrophic than failing. It's very public than failing in anything else. So a lot of times we face into they put blinders on, they don't want to see, I'm so busy, I must be doing well, when the numbers are telling them they're not. So it's a very delicate conversations that we have around the financials, because oftentimes, surprisingly, people call me when they're in trouble, not prior to that, so note to the wise, call before you get into trouble.
Oops. So why do you think that is? Why is it so difficult to talk about the financials in business? I mean, the financials, it's the lifeblood that keeps the machine alive. Why would we not want to talk about it?
Well, like I said, we're so wrapped up, our identities, our self-worth. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, and if that goes away, then who are we? But also, there seems to be some mystique around accounting and money. Like, a lot of entrepreneurs think, I should know that, I should be better at this. Well, no, you're really, really good at what you do, and I'm really, really good at accounting. So you don't need to know everything about accounting. You can say the buzzwords, drop the word accrual every once in a while, and friends will think you're cool. Yeah.
Okay. So we know that these conversations are difficult. We know that they're charged, and we know that people wait way too long to come talk to you. So what do you do to ease these conversations?
I focus on the numbers, the data, not the person. You're not a failure. You made a few bad mistakes here and there, but nothing, we can always fix everything. So it's not you, that's the problem, it's the numbers, it's the processes, it's the decisions underlying the numbers that are problematic. So let's step back, do what you do, whatever you do better, do more of. What didn't work
basically, you can take this charge conversation or disconnect it a little bit from all the emotions and just have an objective conversation about the data.
Yeah,
right?
because the personality of an entrepreneur, the business owner, like they're amazing. They take risks, they roll the dice. Like that's to be rewarded. So we take their ego out of it and just focus on data.
Okay.
Because the numbers don't lie.
I feel like if we work together, I'd see the calendar invite and be like, yes, I'm meeting with my financial advisor.
Let's talk accounting.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Wanda. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it. You do have a special offer for
I
everyone
do.
tonight.
It's,
You want to share with
Yeah,
everybody?
it's just a two-session. If you want to roll up your sleeves, it's sort of an introduction to what I do for you. If you want to get some answers, if you say, hey, let's look at my numbers, there's something wrong here, they're not working for me, what can I do better? Then this is a perfect little solution for that. No big commitment, just a two-session and fun. Lots of fun.
Perfect. Special offer. You have to get some moment. Okay, thank you so much, Wanda. All right, I'm going to man himself out here to introduce our next guest.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Carrie's career path has been anything but traditional. Fresh out of university, she dove headfirst into oil and gas, but not literally. Come on, guys, I'm a dad now. I get to do these types of things. Where she learned valuable lessons about corporate culture and discovered her true calling lay elsewhere. After realizing her talents were better suited to creative pursuits, I should know this since we work together, creative environments than conventional corporate settings, she transitioned to the online business world. Now as COO at Create the Love for 6 years, Carrie found her stride, masterfully running a large-scale online growing business where her unique blend of operational expertise and people-focused leadership proved transformative. So with over a decade of online industry experience, she's perfected the art of turning chaos into seamless systems. These are accurate words because I am chaos. So I really appreciate her so much. Carrie serves as a secret weapon for businesses looking to build efficient operations without losing their heart. She's not currently seeking employment though. Her superpower lies in infusing humanity back into the workplace while setting firm boundaries and nurturing close-knit teams that genuinely enjoy showing up. Her leadership philosophy blends fun, collaboration, and efficiency, ensuring the journey is rewarding as the destination. I've had the honor of working with her for 6 years now, and I always just trust the serendipitous nature of life. Like when I was looking for an operations person, I posted it on Facebook, and then a friend shared it, and then Carrie's friend or sister, I forget, was like, hey, this guy's looking for somebody, I know you're looking for work. And it was like instant connection, and I've just been so grateful for her. And we've grown a lot together, working together, and resolving a lot of the things that we've been talking about in creating a culture. So really appreciate it. Carrie, come on.
How did you like that bio?
I know, I was like, holy, how many pages is this bio? You're not that old. Okay, so first one is, why are hard conversations so important to a business?
Yeah, I think it's kind of twofold. So I think if you're avoiding hard conversations, that's where codependency starts to creep in. And you stop, when you start protecting people from the truth rather than empowering them with it. And in my experience, that's when things like assumptions start getting made and resentment starts to creep in. And when you're not careful, those are the kinds of things that can very quickly implode your business. On the flip side of that, I think having and engaging in those hard conversations really allows people to step into their truth and advocate for themselves and stop people pleasing.
Yeah, we definitely noticed that a lot when we would get a new employee who was a people pleaser or would say yes to everything, which you kind of like sometimes, let's be honest, because you're like, they're working hard, they won't say no to anything. And then you realize that they're starting to burn out and they haven't honored themselves their whole lives. And now you're saying to them, you actually can say no. And they're like, wait, what? You won't get
and
mad.
it's rewarded.
Right.
Like we celebrate it.
It would be pretty hard to teach boundaries and then be like, except here. What is your responsibility as head of ops in making our conversations core value?
Yeah, so operations is all about systems, and to me, culture is a system. And so I really set the tone on how that system operates and flows. And so that involves, how we communicate, how we manage conflict, also how we manage hard conversations. And I think the one thing that's really important to me in a leadership position is that feedback or hard conversations doesn't just flow from the top down. It's reciprocal. It flows both ways. I think that that's been huge for our team to kind of know that one, it's safe to bring feedback in both ways. The other thing to note is, we actually in our team, we call our hard conversations come to Jesus moments. And we have them, I'd say, fairly frequently now. But it's gotten to the point where because we have them so frequently, we're so comfortable in those situations. And not only that, but there's the assumption of good intent. And so, if we're sitting down and we're about to have a hard conversation, there's no part of me now that is like, oh, this is gonna end badly. Like, I know that if you're bringing something to me, or if I'm bringing something to you, it's sent and delivered with love and good assumptions, which I think just goes a really long way.
Yeah, it's interesting when we frame, or the culture frames hard conversations as the preface to those, is that there's a preservation of the relationship first as a priority. I would have think to transcend our whole lives, but especially in the workplace, to transform a culture. How have hard conversations optimized the business?
I think they clear the fog, honestly. It's the more you have them, the more you start to see who's truly aligned. And I think, they either open the door and really, have someone step into their greatness, or people cap out and they hit their limit. And I think for us, we've seen it a couple of times where that limit can often look like entitlement. Like, how dare you come to me and give me this feedback? I've done this, and this. Where really it should be like, oh, okay, I see some truth in that, or I can hold that, or I'll work on it.
Yeah, one thing that we've noticed a lot in our business is that what Carrie has done an exceptional job of doing is managing the system so that it doesn't impact me, but also that if I'm not good or something's going on in my life, like having a new baby, that there's actually, she absorbs that and insulates it to the team, which I'm so grateful for, because if I'm in a dysregulated state, it can actually dysregulate the business. And yeah, you've just done such an exceptional job of doing that.
Thank you. I was gonna say, it also goes the other way too. Like for you and I, an example of a hard conversation between us is when Mark's an ideator and a creator, and so, as you probably noticed, he likes to come with a ton of beautiful, wonderful ideas.
Thank you for those descriptors.
Yes. But also, I'm responsible for also protecting the team and their capacity and managing their nervous system as well. Because I could easily be like, sure, Mark, we'll implement all 7 of those by tomorrow. And meanwhile, we've stayed up all night, the team hates me, they hate you, they're ready to quit, right? Or I could be like, actually, I think we should postpone that a little bit, maybe do this a different way, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you learn the true capacity of the people that you work with when they're starting to honor themselves, but then the culture thrives, and then the people thrive, and they want to work more because they know that their capacity is always going to be honored, so they want to give more. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna take a short break here in a second. First, I just want to share some of the. There we go. A couple things. So, if you actually, I'll grab a copy, right? So last year, very exciting. Myself and Caitlin and 11 other authors put a book together called The Culture Revolution. And each author wrote a chapter about their business, and it was all about people and culture and how it helped them drive high performance, drive success, all this type of stuff. It was really great experience. It's pretty cool to see your name on Amazon, and writing a chapter is a
As a
lot easier.
bestseller.
It's a bestseller.
Yeah.
And writing a chapter is a hell of a lot easier than writing a book. So we thought, hey, let's do it again. So if anyone is interested in finding out more about participating and writing a chapter, telling your story about your business and your people, you can just scan that and put your name on the list, and we'll send you an email and let you know when we're getting ready to launch that again. It's a pretty cool, it's a great experience. I was so glad that I did it. Next one. Keep going. There we go. Okay, Professional Sales Academy. Bruno can't be here today, but through YYC Business, basically you can put whatever deal you want on there, and he's got a 2-for-1. This is sales training, leadership training, that type of stuff. So if anyone is interested in sales training, things like that, you can check that. We've also got, next one, a Good Deal Tire. Who has their summer tires on already? Yeah, like
Just one, two.
If you want new tires, new summer tires, it's the best deal in town. You just go there and tell them you heard about the deal on YYC Car Business, or you scan that code, you'll get a smoking deal on tires, so why not? Same thing on oil changes. Go in. PFM, Performance Freight Management. I haven't seen Daryl here tonight, but they basically ship anything, any freight, land, air, whatever. They solve your problem and they send it. They're really great. So you can scan that, they'll give you a deal. Next one, World of Vici.
Doesn't that look so handsome in this suit? Right? That's custom made.
Anyone heard of World of Vici? Anyone know those guys? We got one over there. Custom Suits. They have a shop down in Baker's Hall, and they make custom clothing for men and women. It's really awesome. They'll give you 10% off custom suit, custom clothing, all that type of stuff. Really great. What else we got? Okay, that's it for now. If you want to check out those offers, there's a table over there. You can check it out. We also, I know we talked about workshops and that kind of stuff, but if you just want the cards to see what the questions are and put them on your boardroom table and see how your team kind of engages and reacts to them, you can buy a set of cards. So you can go check it out over there. But we're going to take a 25-minute break, get up, have some food, have a drink, engage with your neighbors, meet some people, and have some fun, and we'll reconvene in about 25 minutes.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's always the toughest part. Finish up your conversations. Come and sit down because there's way more stuff to wow and amaze you. Starting with me.
Wow. I'm not.
I was born in a shoebox, just in Saskatchewan. It was very humble upbringing, and then I became interesting. Hello. Hey guys, so again, welcome back. My name is Greg Belanger. I'm with YYC Calgary Business. Again, we're all about being Calgary's only online business platform that gets your business noticed. Okay? So a big part of what we're doing, what we're accomplishing is building up a community of local entrepreneurs that support each other and do business with each other. So part of what we do to build up that community is we've got a business listing on our site. It's a free business list we're offering. So check our site. We offer it to you. Give us your logo, your contact information. We'll put it on your site. We'll give you your own dedicated website on our YYC business page that will drive traffic to you. And so again, it's all part of our commitment to helping you and build our community. The other thing we're doing is we've got a promotion that we're calling Shop Club. Again, Shop Club, think of it as a Groupon without having to pay any commissions. Okay? So what we're doing is driving business to your site through special exclusive offers. You could come up with exclusive YYC business offers to our community, and they come in their site. We've got a code exchange. We put it together. And again, it's all about driving business, becoming a valuable part. Again, we are here to support each other and drive business to each other. So the Shop Club, we've got a special introductory deal. We're charging you $99 a year to get into it. And we're doing it for our first 100 customers. It's going to go up to whatever market value is. But if you get into, check it out. We've got our brochures here in the back. There's QR codes. But, you know, here's what, you know, what's that guy's name? McGuire. Help me help you. Jerry McGuire, that's it. So, yeah, again, you know what? Come up, help us, support you, support us. Let's get this community rocking. It's a pretty strong community. We connect, it allows us to continue to put on these events, just something like this. And again, I got engaged in so many good conversations, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, anybody have a good conversation yet? Sue. Okay, excellent. So guys, we got a few more things installed for you today. Again, remember, check out your sponsors, support your sponsors. We've got some pretty cool deals. So that's, somebody gonna pull the hook on me yet? Anyways, thanks guys, enjoy the rest of the night.
To 20 years later, I have multiple certification in the health industry and became a holistic health coach and guiding clients through a holistic health journey to also get their brain back, get their body back, get their performance back that they know that their body can produce. So as a result, Happy Valley was born because it's one way, one of the things that we do at home personally to support our health. We make our kombucha at home, we make our tinker water at home, we make our sauerkraut, we make our sourdough bread. Not because we want to do all that, but because that's how we know where we can get good food.
All right, let's put our hands together for Victoria. Carrying too many things. Hold on. Oh. Thursday. We support the girls. Okay. Cheers, my darling. Cheers. Super excited. You guys all try this? Yes. Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm super excited to have Victoria on here because we were talking about kombucha, right? And we're like, okay, art of heart conversations. how are we gonna tie this together? Don't worry, we have a way, we have a way. But first, everybody got to see the kombucha thing that you got going on, which is amazing. And I don't know if you know this, but like, can you tell the molecule story just really quickly? Like super quickly, like the happy molecules?
Sure. So everybody know that we need to, it's a good idea to filter our water before we drink it. Who here are familiar with Dr. Emoto's work? Right? Because water carries memory, and our whole body is made up of a lot of water molecules. So good thoughts helps our body and helps us be happier. So at Happy Belly, we filter the water, and then we structure it, we pray into it, and then we do the rest of the regular stuff. And what we notice when we do that, when we look under a microscope of those water molecules, so we know H and then the two O's, without doing the structuring or the praying into, the molecules all vibrates, right? After praying into and structuring it, we look at it, the H and the two O, they all hold hands.
Isn't that the cutest thing? I love that. That makes me so happy.
It costs extra time,
Yeah.
which in business it translates to expenses, right? Increased cost. But when you see that, how can we not? So if there's one thing you take home today, please pray into your water.
I love that because like the holding hands and the connection is really, I think, what it is we're getting to when we talk about our conversations is creating that connection point with the human and getting and moving the results forward. And so when you told me that story, we were sitting around Tears' kitchen table having a networking event, and I just like fell in love with that moment. I was like, oh, I need this in my life. So it's so incredible. Thank you for that. But you also have another business that you're starting, because this is really easy to conceptualize. But can you
I was a health coach to start, and I still am a health coach, but because 10, 11, 12 years ago, I chose to, when my clock was ticking, and my biggest dream in life is to have a baby and be a mom. So I know it's time, because I was 36, and I need to start having babies. So I pushed my health coaching practice to the back burner, and pulled forward Happy Belly Kombucha. So today Happy Belly Kombucha is 10 plus years old. And how I became a health coach, because I was in the pursuit of better health. Since I was 18, 19, 20, I started noticing jet lag because I would travel back to Malaysia, which is where I was born. So that started my health awareness. In my late 20s, I was playing tennis for the province of Saskatchewan. Because I was working so hard in IT and I couldn't stop my brain. I needed a solution. So I hired a pro, and within 3 months, can you tell that I'm a AAA personality? I ended up playing for the province of Saskatchewan, and at the same time, I was also diagnosed to be, what did they call me, pre-diabetic. To me, that's just so wrong, that's not me. So I pushed it out, that started my hardcore research into how our body works. And I reversed that, learning about glycemic index and glycemic load. And then after that, there's still a lot more to learn. Now I'm 50, I've learned a little bit more. And today I realized, not today, last year I realized that wait, to have a happy gut, which is our second brain, we actually need to have happy cells. Because our gut lining is all made up of cells. So I just came back from Sweden last week, because I went to visit a company and met the owner and met the scientist. It's a 20-year-old company. We basically imported them. They are our product partner. Today we basically brought our Happy Belly tap room here because I haven't decided if I want to pull forward my health coaching practice forward, because my little ones are still little. They're 4 and 8. My heart is still at home with them. But I cannot not share what I know. That is plant-based nutrition. That basically is really high quality, beyond high quality, omega-3s that we call it the Inuit diet and the Mediterranean diet in a bottle. In 120 days, before you start, we take 2 drops of your blood, we send it to Norway to test at Vitus Analytics and independent lab to see how you're doing in your body for omega-3 and 6 balance. Why is that important? Because it tells us how inflamed or not every single cells in our body is. Or is the omega-3 that you're taking working or not? Is it worth your money? You know right away, and then you take the omega-3 for 5 months, at 120-day mark, we take another test. But between that time, people's dry eye goes away. People's inflammation in terms of their joint ache, joint pain goes away. Their athletic performance, we see increased, clinical studies show increased by 34%. And for moms and entrepreneurs like you and I, we are high performance breeds. We need our brain to be on, and we need to work out. And when people become hit the age of 40 and beyond, we start noticing that our recovery rate starts to become longer and longer. Instead of being able to recover in 24 hours, it becomes 2 days, 3 days. And when they get on this oil, we see the recovery rate comes back to 24-hour window, which is amazing. Brain deaths go away, and basically that's the foundation of health. That's why we brought it here and integrated into Happy Valley.
But we had a really interesting conversation because with the gut health and the cell health, it actually impacts, I think you talked about like anxiety a little bit and you know how people show up emotionally, and if you're like super anxious and you're emotionally charged, you're not going to be having the best conversations. And you had some stories around that, right?
Do I have to be authentic? Yes. For people who have worked for me, can vouch for it. Sometimes, a lot of times, I can be very volatile. I'm a lot better now. Now I know that omegas help. And what we also see in teenagers, in kids, scientifically shown that people with concussion, a lot of kids have gone on having undiagnosed concussion, right? Kids, like even toddlers, they hit their head because their head heavy, right? And they present themselves as emotionally not regulated from little kids to teenagers. And we put them on the oil, we see their blood work, and within the 120 days mark, we see the kids turn into different kids. More regulated, calmer, less angry. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so I think this is really important when we talk about dysregulation, Mark spoke about earlier. If we have something going on hormonally inside of our bodies and in our health system and in our guts, like we're not going to show up to be able to have those good conversations. Like we can use all the tools and tactics we want, but if we're not in the right state, we can't show up as our best selves. So thank you so much, Victoria. And she's actually taking your blood right here. Apparently. So you can actually go and sign up and do the test right now. She'll send it off and get it started. So I know Monica, did it hurt? No. Oh, see, sounds fine. So to get that test, if you want to check it out, and Victoria has both offers for Happy Valley Kombucha, if you love kombucha, as well as her new supplement there. So go check it out, go talk to her, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, now I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta pray to water. And it's just making me think of so many things of getting tested and getting all that stuff done. All right, so this guy I had the pleasure of meeting when I worked with the company. I did some consulting, and then I went in and got my hair cut. I was living in Vancouver at the time, and I was told he's the best of the best. And I went into, sat in his chair, and I instantly understood why he was so good at what he did. Like, one, he made my hairline look less receding, so from a skill set, he was great. And I was laughing because I was thinking, like, the videos, you could tell how old they are based on how much hair I have, and the progression of the grayness in my beard that I shaved off so that now I look younger. But Stephen James, he's the founder of Stephen J, a hair care and lifestyle brand dedicated to helping hairdressers and barbers to find their own paths to success. With 15 years of hands-on experience behind the chair, he is also a partner in the renowned Head Candy Salon Company, a role that has allowed him to engage in thousands of transformative conversations each each year. Self-described as a peopler who happens to cut hair, Stephen has made it his mission to build authentic connections and empower fellow business professionals to reach their full potential. By blending his deep industry knowledge with genuine passion for people, Stephen James delivers inspiring insights that resonate with anyone striving to thrive in the ever-evolving world. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
So, the thing that I was instantly enamored by is I sat in this chair and I watched him magician all the people around. And he would talk about, it would be hard for anyone in a normal place to understand. He would talk about politics, he would talk about health during COVID, and you'd have different people in different chairs disagreeing, and I watched this guy manage those conversations where people saw each other, they deepened understanding. It was like a marvel. And I was getting my hair cut at the time. And so I've always been just impressed with how you do that and why it's so important. When I heard about, like, we should have people come talk about hard conversations, I'm like, this guy's like a Jedi of hard conversations. Whoa, yeah, I know. Okay, so the first question I have is, what is the role of crucial and hard conversations in your business? So as a leader.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate you all coming out and hanging out with us. I think it's really fun that in a world filled with so much tech that and everyone relying on tech, I may or may not have put that bio through ChatGPT. And I may filter my emails through ChatGPT to make sure they sound nicer, which is just proves just how much the world is progressing towards technology, and the fact that all these people are here wanting to navigate conversations, I think is huge. That's my life. That's what I do. Is I bet on people every single day. So in a world filled with that, it's so cool to see. As far as the 8 minutes we have, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I do talk a lot as a hairdresser. I hope none of you. I hope all of you have a hairdresser. If some of you don't, you guys are doing a great job cutting your own hair. But if you know hairdressers, you're cutting your own hair all the time. That's part of the difficult conversation I have to have with a guest sometimes. We'll get into that. But we talk. So, the role. At work. So this is usually a pretty big team. Yep, I have the really cool opportunity of helping coach and understand about 100 or so service providers, which is great. And for me, the role difficult conversations plays is that we have to understand the hairdresser to break this up, because I always break everything up into the guest experience and then the hairdresser experience. It helps my brain be able to categorize ideas and stuff and build context and coach and stuff. So describing the hairdresser to, is anyone here a hairdresser? This is the first time I think I've been in this group of people and there wasn't a hairdresser, because I usually am teaching hairdressers, so it's usually the guest is in the room. So the hairdresser is a dopamine addicted, love depraved, lovely, beautiful person that wants to take care of you. And through that process, they feel love, and they're aesthetic problem solvers. And through that process, there's a lot of difficult conversations that I have to have to an artist that didn't get into it for the money, but at the same time has to live and find purpose within that whole struggle. And then on the guest experience side, I mean, you experienced it. I engage in open dialogue, and you have to engage with pain people have or joy. So when people show up to you and they tell you that their dad died, and you have to be there with them in that moment and be open to those conversations, and they're difficult. And then, you know, in about 10-second split, someone could be breaking up with their partner and you're the first person they've told. So we are big confidants in that process, and at the same time you have to build trust and hopefully, you know, make money. And I will say, Mark is a good tipper. He's tips very well. I will advocate for tipping, so tip your hairdresser.
I'm a testimonial for this. I like that. What role do the hard conversations play in the ability for you to create a thriving barbershop and a massive, I mean, you have a massive roster of clients that keep coming back. And the thing I was always, like, I witness these people for the first time or watching, maybe they have a different barber, hear the conversations we were all having, and they're all like, oh fuck, like what did I get into here? But then they came back because it was one of the first times they'd experienced such open communication. So what role do you think that plays and why it actually draws people to the experience as a client?
Well, I believe that, this is going to sound controversial, but I think that difficult conversations are worthless unless they come from a place of meaning and curiosity for understanding and knowledge. If I know so many people that run businesses, and thankfully I'm in a position where I can do the same, sometimes I catch myself wanting to have the solution, right? Just give me the equation. And it doesn't work like that. People are complex. They value you valuing their autonomy. They value choice. They value being able to have a say. And when you are looking for equations and you're not trying your best to be curious about other people and search for that understanding and knowledge. I know we just had a moment where we chatted about this, you owe me money after this, but for the cards, that the cards are a beautiful tool because they're not presenting solutions. They're getting people engaged in the understanding, and it's truth that makes people free to act on their own understanding, freedom to engage with a tough conversation with the manager because you're in search of truth, and the truth could be that you feel validated or you feel valued.
How do you, as a manager of people, deal with this line between having compassion for what they're going through in their life and holding accountability? I think that's such an interesting line of tension.
I have to say that maybe this is why these cards are really good because I struggle with compassion. I would lean more towards being a heavier advocate for accountability. I come from a pretty blue collar background where, you know, if you're sick, you should probably go to work because if you sweat it out, you might get better. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also in a world where people are actually struggling with things. I had to learn to be way more compassionate towards their life and towards what they have going on. Especially you're working with creatives, so they derive, again, a lot of their joy or a lot of their value from feeling like their art is respected or what they put out there people love. So actually when you tip a hairdresser, I'll bring that up again, I know I was joking before, but they actually probably feel better about their interaction with you and feel in a weird way more love that their creative action was put forward and you validated that process. So when you're dealing with that type of individual that thinks more with their heart and their gut instead of sometimes with their logic, it's tough to strike a good balance, and it's something that I really helped, even though I don't really like prescriptions or solutions, something that helped me was to ask someone, I would just say, rate your day, how are you doing? Out of 10, before I start meetings of accountability, before I start meetings of holding people to a standard, I say, how do you feel like you're doing and how do you think you're doing? And trying to get them to think a little more with their brain and understand a little bit more, validate their heart. And then with those three components, I think it's much easier to dive into a conversation with somebody. And then sometimes you just go, I love the opportunity working with you. And you leave it at that, you know? Because we're all people, and this is a really tough thing sometimes, difficult conversations, and you have to develop some instinct or gut. Is that a good answer?
That's a great answer. I'm gonna tip you. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming and sharing. What I've witnessed in being in the chair, and also true of my own work too, is that the more accountable you hold somebody, the safer they actually feel in the relationship, which is like a strange paradox, you know, and it's like true in a therapeutic relationship. The tighter the boundaries are around the therapeutic relationship, the safer someone feels to explore whatever they're exploring, and that's, you know, that would translate to hard conversations at work and structure around work, etc. Thanks for coming.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You do it, so well done.
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks, you.
We're just gonna give Mark a minute. Are you ready?
Yeah, I should have just kept the mic.
You could have,
Yeah.
but I wanted to let you know. Give you a minute, you're good?
Yeah, so we're not running perfectly on time, is what you're saying.
I said we could do it and I lied.
I know we have like a bunch of talkers at a talk, and you wonder, like, of course, you're gonna be a little bit over time.
I'm sorry.
So, I'll have somewhat brevity, although if there was a speaking Olympics, I would never get last for a number of words used. There's a quote that I love from Tim Ferriss, and it's, "A person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have." You know, there's really three things that I've seen in powerful teachers, powerful leaders, powerful people in relationship. So this transcends all of it. And the first one is that there's that courage to be the one who goes first. And I see that a lot. I mean, I think about that a lot. When my wife and I need to repair, and I'm like, I'm one of those people that cannot repair. I don't know if anyone else is like, I'm just gonna leave them in their suffering just for a little longer. But the person who's actually willing to go first always wins. And it seems counterintuitive because we think we're actually losing in the one doing that. But actually the behavior of going first or being the one who leads is actually saying, I'm demonstrating the behavior that is committed to creating the types of relationships that I want. And if we're a leader in a business or a leader of a team, holy shit, we should be the one who are like leading the charge in terms of conversations. Because it dictates the culture of the team, of the company, of everything. And you know, we talked that one question we had earlier where we were like, okay, what company have you explored or known that has a difference in its values based on what they say and what they do? Who here has experienced a company like that? I used to work in pharma, so they would be like, the patient is the most important. And I was like, if there's money. And so that would be hard for me because I would present an idea, and then when I would present the idea, they'd be like, we'll do anything except for that one. And I always had a hard time with that from an integrity perspective. And so when I would hear a manager that we stand for something, but then when you would go, oh, I have an open door policy, and that's like such a buzzy term. Then you go walk in their open door, and they're like, well, not that. And so we have to just be really mindful, well, one, that what we're saying and what we're doing and what our values are completely aligned. Now that's tough, right? Because that's like actually integrity in action, and being in integrity isn't easy, right? Like having hard conversations is not easy. But actually being the one who's willing to do it dictates everything. And there's something different about being in the company of someone who is authentic. Like, first off, we all know the type of person who walks into a room and you're like, oh my God, like deep savagery. Like that person is willing to say anything, they'll stand in everything. And there's a feeling that we can get when someone isn't truly honoring what they say they want. It's like when you see a dating profile and the person says they're 5'11", but they're really 5'4". I'm 5'11". I never really got that when people lied about their age on dating apps either. Like, they're like, I'm 39, and then later they're like, I'm actually 41. Why would you lie? It's such a big red flag. Anyways, that's a whole lot. I could go on a whole other tangent about that. But the first part is that they have the hard conversations first. The second one is that, and this is a big one, and we've been hearing kind of like remnants of this, but I don't think we've said it explicitly, is they prioritize truth over feelings. That's massive. And that actually is at the core of really high-functioning relationships of any kind. It's like if you're afraid to have the conversation about the hard thing, that means now whoever has the lowest capacity for conflict is actually dictating the culture. Now, I'd say this is actually happening on a large level culturally. It's like the people who are the most reactive actually dictate what content can be discussed. But there is no healthy human system that is designed around people's feelings. It's just true. And think about all the relationships you've ever had where you've avoided hard conversations. They implode, they blow up, so they either blow inside or blow outside. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. And that is a hard commitment to have, to be willing to actually say the hard thing and know that it's going to impact someone's feelings. But I thought about this when I used to work at Future Shop years and years ago before I did pharma. I've really got a collection of history here. I'm undoing the karmic load. But when I worked at Future Shop, we sold a lot of extended warranties. So if I sold you an extended warranty, I apologize, you didn't actually need it. I will never forget the training that we did because it was like such aggressive sales training. And where I worked, you had to wear suits. Is anyone familiar with like the old world Future Shop? Yeah. And you're like, thank God it got bought and doesn't exist anymore. But I was taught 9 aggressive ways to close somebody. And imagine, I went into pharma after that with 9 aggressive closing techniques and all that. And I remember my manager being like, I think you need to just relax a little bit. You're like really trying to close these people a little too hard. But I'll never forget one of the trainers said, I would always like to be respected rather than liked. And I was like, well, why don't you just get both? But I didn't actually understand what he was saying, which is that if you have to say something that creates respect, you might not be liked. But if you curate being liked ahead of everything, your relationships won't be authentic. If you place feelings over truth, your relationships aren't authentic. And that's tough. And I think of a quote from Ram Dass, where he says that, I hope I live with the integrity that the truth that lives within me is the same as the truth that lives outside of me. But whenever those things are not aligned, I'm sending a message of both love and fear. And he said that we can never really be 100% in integrity. And that being because you're always going to learn more, right? You're always going to understand more about yourself. And so if you're learning something in every moment of every day, then you always have a new benchmark, right? Now here's what I notice a lot with my work, but this is true, I see it in teams and I see it with leaders too, is if what leads you to personal growth, which is almost always how it works, what leads you to want to change, what leads you to want to be a better communicator, usually comes from a desire to fix something. Oh, I get reactive, I get defensive, there's something going on within me that I need to resolve. So there's a problem that I need to fix. But the problem with that is that if you believe you have a problem you need to be fixed, and that's the motivation of how you create, which that can happen from like a lot of perfectionism, all that kind of high achievement, that being motivated from there's a deficit within me. But everybody has to make a transition that the reason you pursue knowledge is not to fix something that's broken, but rather to live more within your potential. So when you find out, or you get feedback from a boss, or a colleague, or from an employee, or from your partner, it's no longer triggering a wound of inadequacy, it's actually just more material for you to be better. That transition removes the charge from hard conversations. So if you embody that, you'll completely change the team that you're in. Like, I know when I would have hard conversations with my employees, I say to them, you can bring me anything to me. Anything. And I promise you that I will hear you. I might be like, oh, that sucks, at what I'm hearing about me. But I will always implement whatever change I need to make. And I will always receive your feedback with love. I say the same to my wife, although I have a harder time with that one. And the last thing, oh yeah, well, I kind of covered this a little bit, which is that great leaders in every capacity of life, because they're not different, they live exactly what they preach. There is a lived experience of who they are and the values that they have. And there's that reality of when you are working on a team, that the way you make your way through the workplace. As an entrepreneur, remember that the business operates off your nervous system. So there's no such thing as a dysfunctional team without a dysfunctional leader. And that is a powerful thing to understand, because then that means you can change it all. And I've seen cultures pivot on a dime, I've seen relationships pivot on a dime, I've seen families pivot on a dime. But what always has to happen is there has to be a confrontation with reality. And at the end of the day, the only way that we can ever change the circumstances that we're in and our businesses, etc., is by doing an accurate audit of who we truly are, what's truly happening, and how we actually truly behave. So with all that said, I really understand that if we're all here, then we're likely all desiring or are champions of that desire, right? To want to create effective change, to want to lead powerful teams, to want, and the correlation with profit is actually right there. So just taking a moment to just really acknowledge yourself for having that desire, and I mean, you're here to learn about that. And I don't think there's actually a greater endeavor than to live what we truly want, and to be brave enough to have relationships experience a lot of friction on the journey to get that. But you know, I remember hearing this personal growth teacher, Lisa Nichols, when I sort of like first immersed myself in like, wait, why do I do what I do? Which that question has continuously not been answered, or I'm in the continuous search of. And a woman had said in the audience, oh, I really need to have a hard conversation with my husband. And Lisa Nichols said, at what point in your life did you think you wouldn't have to put your big girl pants on and have a hard conversation? And I remember sitting there being like, that was pretty harsh. But she was so right. And I hope that all of you, when you leave here, that you at least just prioritize one conversation that you've been avoiding. Because we often, even though we might not be religious, but we become really religious in some moments in our life. All of a sudden we really desperately believe in God when we need answers, or we believe in something. But we often ask for a question from the divine, whatever you want to call it, and then we get an answer and we don't like it. And so, what answers do you have that you know, that you avoid? And what conversations do you need to have that you're avoiding? And as Rumi said, why do you stay in the prison when the door's right there? So, thank you for coming.
That was amazing.
Okay, another hand for Mark Rose, everybody. That was okay, as I say, that is a wrap.
That is a wrap. I'm like 3 10. That is a wrap, but and we did it with like 2 minutes over, so I feel like we did pretty good, right? Please make sure that you stop by the tables, look at the offers. This is about lifting businesses up. It's about making meaningful connections and really growing an economy, and more than ever, supporting local when we need it the most. So go ahead, if something resonates with you guys, sign up. We're really excited to be able to launch this new workshop with Mark Rose, whether you want to come as an individual, you bring a friend for the full day intensive, or if you want to take it back to your leadership team. When you scan the QR code and you sign up, it's just a conversation. Okay, don't stress, we can have a conversation and find out what the right solution is for you, but we want you guys to take those conversations, continue having hard conversations, and driving the results in your business, and maybe in your personal life too. Thank you so much for coming.